This is Katarina Johnson-Thompson, and you're listening to Ignite.
She's been one of the leading lights of British track and field ever since bursting onto the scene as a teenager.
When she gets it right, she is one of the strongest heptathletes in the world for Great Britain, Northern Ireland, Katarina Johnson-Thompson.
She's a double heptathlon world champion, a double Commonwealth champion. Through the misfortune of injury and the formidable challenge posed by the elite Nafi Tiam, a European outdoor or Olympic gold has thus far eluded Katarina Johnson-Thompson. However, as we look ahead to the upcoming European Championships in Rome and the Olympics in Paris, the British heptathlete can glimpse the finishing line where her destiny awaits.
I'm not going to say that out loud because I just think it's like, it's a title I haven't won. It's a title I would like to have. But I know that saying that as a heptathlete, a heptathlon, so much can go right, so much can go wrong, so much can happen on the day, so much can happen in the lead up. And I just really, really want to put out a good performance. And I think I get my best performances when I say that instead of thinking about the outcome. I've been training so hard this season. I'm feeling really motivated, probably more motivated than ever coming off the back of last year. And now I just want to put out good performances and feel like, enjoy it. And yeah, I don't like to get too caught up in the outcome as a heptathlete because you have to just take each event as they come.
This is Ignite, a podcast series from European Athletics, telling the personal stories of athletes as they count down to Rome 2024. Whisper it quietly, but there's no doubting that Katarina Johnson-Thompson's story is reaching its zenith. This is the moment that will define her career in athletics and determine her place among the greats. Success in Rome and Paris will not only erase the heartache of past injuries that disrupted her Olympic dreams, but it will also elevate her beyond the joy of silver in Berlin 2018. This is her chance to turn adversity into triumph.
In Berlin, it was one of my favourite competitions, I know, and this is why I say I don't care really about the outcome, because that was one of my favourite medals, that silver medal from Europeans. I remember we were all crying on the rostrum afterwards with happiness. It was me, Nafi, and Caroline Schaefer, and it was such a feel-good comp.
Very high standard of performance there with 6 women at 6,400 points or more. Tribute to the excellent conditions, tribute to some great competition.
And for a European final, I mean, this could as well have been a World Championship final. The standard of this competition, outstanding.
And that was one of my favourite medals that I've won, because I felt like I won that silver. You know, I didn't lose a gold. I felt like I really won that silver that day. And then that ultimately set me up for my 2019 season, where I had the confidence that I was able to compete.
Suggesting her silver in Berlin holds greater significance than a World Championship gold may surprise many. Yet for Katarina Johnson-Thompson, affectionately known as KJT among fans and media, that medal symbolised the sacrifices that she made throughout that season. Any athlete will tell you the same. The path to the podium is seldom without setbacks and challenges, particularly those posed by injury. But in many ways, it's the setbacks which have made her the formidable athlete she is today. And after a promising start to her season leading up to Berlin, with triumphs at the Commonwealth Games and the Indoor Championships, her resolve would soon be tested.
I remember that year I came off the back of 2 medals, one in the indoor and one just early outdoors in the Commonwealth Games. And unfortunately in the Commonwealth Games, I really badly pulled my calf and carried on stupidly, because it was Australia and I was so close to winning, and that really didn't help my summer.
So the world indoor champion now looks destined to become the Commonwealth champion. A little hint of a smile. We haven't seen too much of that from Kat over the last couple of days. I'm sure she'll be delighted to put this to bed. But the gold will go to Katarina Johnson-Thompson as she crosses the line in about 2:23. Denise, a few tears, I think they may be in pain as much as anything else. I just wonder whether she's really hurt herself.
So that lead up to Berlin was 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks of training, and I didn't know. I was really, really nervous to start that comp. I remember being the most nervous I've ever been, and I don't really normally get nervous. I just didn't know what shape I was in. I was building into it, and I was gaining my confidence, and I felt like we were like going back and forth and like competing, and it was the first time that I was doing that without like pressure and just like attacking each event and seeing what we could get. And it was really fun to be in that flow of, you know, ultimately I love just being able to give things a go more than, oh, I lost that. Like, I just want to have a chance at gold, and I did have a chance at gold in that comp. And that's sport to me. That's the heptathlon to me. You know, going back and forth, like your good event's javelin, my good event's 8, like, and we're just like competing. And that felt like one of those comps where it was exciting for the viewer, exciting for the athletes, and that's why I'm looking forward to the summer.
Never one to be easily defeated, KJT took the heptathlon in Berlin down to the final seconds of the competition. Nafi Thiam was out in front, a Herculean effort giving the Belgium a strong points advantage heading into the final event, the 800 metres.
One event to go. Nafi Thiam leads the heptathlon, 5,984 points, 192 ahead of Katarina Johnson-Thompson. Schaefer is third, Vetter is fourth, Dadic is fifth.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what it was, but I think with the javelin, I think it got up to 10 seconds, the 10-second gap. And, you know, it was back and forth. Like last summer, I was the one chasing, but this one I had to just go out and commit. And it was, yeah, unfortunately not enough, but it was such a fun comp, like I said.
So we see Johnson-Thompson, of course, running strongly as we would have expected. Roar in the stadium for some field events.
I'm not calculating the seconds, but I think in this competition they had a scoreboard up in the stadium. So between javelin throws, they had the points. They had the points there, and you could see it. Whereas they don't normally do that until after 3 throws, and then they tally up the points. But they were doing live points as we were throwing, so you could see the gap getting closer and then and bigger again, and then closer and bigger. So it was fun in every aspect of every event. You then calculate the seconds after you've got the points, but by the time you go back into the restroom after you've put your trainers on, that's when that's your coach's job then to then give instructions on what to do.
She's got a huge gap, and particularly crucial for that was some brilliant javelin throwing. With her first throw in the javelin, it looked like it had opened the way for Johnson-Thompson. Nafi Thiam a long way back, but even so, that gap between her and Johnson-Thompson pretty much unbridgeable. But what a very fine run indeed, and a very fine season by Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who comes through and she'll take the silver medal.
I was front running that one. I just had to run. But last year, I kind of know what 3 seconds looks like, 5 seconds if you're the one chasing.
The final moments inside Berlin's Olympic Stadium vividly illustrate the mental challenge faced by heptathletes. As they transition from one discipline to the next, it becomes a numbers game, requiring them to balance their strengths against their weaknesses. A strong long jump might be offset by a weaker javelin throw, and yet the pressure mounts as the emphasis on peak performance intensifies at the critical moments. In this arena, every second and every centimetre truly counts. As she laces up her spikes for that first heat in the heptathlon hurdles in Rome, or raises her hands above her head to encourage the crowd to clap her into the long jump, or even watches the stadium screen on the final 100 of her 800 metres, KJT knows her journey isn't complete without the encouragement of her mother. For all the work of the coaches, sports federations and the teams she's competed with and for, she had to start somewhere. And it was on the National Express buses of the UK as she travelled from competition to competition with her mother right beside her.
My mum did everything basically. We didn't have a car for her to ferry me around in, but we'd go a lot of places together, sort of on the bus, on National Express, on the train. We would have an adventure each time, and yeah, she was the one who never really missed a session until much later on in my career when I'd moved to France, and she never missed a competition. She'd only missed a handful of competitions to this day, so she was definitely a positive influence in my life. I don't think I was as appreciative of it then as I was now. It's just very childish mentality where your mum just is there, and I definitely took that for granted in terms of her support. I just thought that was a normal thing for a parent to do because she'd always give to others. But now when I realise the amount of time that she's given to me, yeah, I definitely admire her. So my mum recently found a bag of clothes where I had Liverpool shirts and a tiny Liverpool shirt what I used to wear when I was 7 and 9. And it was Steven Gerrard, Lewis Garcia, Emil Heskey, Barros. I have all of them on the back of on my shirts. Growing up in the 90s in Liverpool, it's sort of pick your side. It's blue or red, and my side was red, and I would just put all the Liverpool men's team, I think, all over I think not on the walls, but we used to have this thing in our school where you put them on, you used to cover your own exercise books, and that's what I used to cover them in. I've met Steven Gerrard a couple of times now. I still find it mad that he knows who I am. Yeah, it's crazy. But I remember the first time I met him was post 2012, and he was just saying, well done.
And while her mother was a driving force keeping the young KJT focused on her ambition to reach the pinnacle of athletics, there always has to be an idol who fuels one's dreams. Enter Jessica Ennis, the beloved star of London 2012 and the embodiment of British heptathlon.
Yeah, I knew Jess from 2009, really, from when she had her big injury back in 2008. And yeah, she was, and in 2012 in particular, she was somebody who I was just watching more than anything else. She allowed me to be part of that whole 2 days. That was quite special for everyone in the UK. And I was behind the scenes, watching how she dealt with it, watching what she did in between comps, and watching her on that victory lap on, when we get the heptathletes get together. And I think that was really important part of okay, that's how you do it, that's what's possible, that's something that hopefully, a lot of people are saying that I'm better than her at that age, hopefully I can continue and be like that. And I think that was really important phase of my life, that I was just learning about the sport without the pressures of the sport. She taught me a lot in different phases of her career as well, but I think at that stage it was mainly about how to conduct yourself. Denise has been with me there, giving me advice in her actions and words more than just what Jess did. She was there from 2012 all the way up until today, and she will always get praise from me how she's helped my career and shape my career and be there at the hardest points and give invaluable advice. It's I'm indebted to her.
Combine the steadfast support of good parenting with the dreams of emulating an idol, and you reach the heart of Katarina Johnson-Thompson's success. But for her, sacrifice was never truly a sacrifice at all.
When I think childhood, I don't think of my teenage years, when training sort of coincided with the growing up. But I didn't ever see it as something that I was missing out on in terms of outside of the sport. I just loved training so much that I didn't ever really get that FOMO of my friends going out. I dabbled in going out. I didn't ever not go out, but I balanced life quite well, I think, as a teenager. When I was younger and, everyone was doing house parties and stuff, I think I was lucky enough, and not everybody has this, but I was lucky enough to see the benefits of me doing well, as opposed to me not doing well and being oh, that's probably worth it. I think there is a drop-off age, which I've spoken about, and I was really concerned about during COVID, where I was myself finding it really hard to train and to access facilities. And I was like, I don't know what the youth are going to do if they're already, you know, got house parties or like other interests, or even like making money and having enough money to you know, get clothes or do anything social. So I was like really concerned that it's like lack of facilities plus lack of motivation and lack of everything. And I was concerned that there was going to be a missed generation. But for me, when I was younger, I think getting to the Olympics was a big driver. Home Olympics was so important. And I think that's the tagline, isn't it? Like, when you have a home champs, you inspire the next generation. And I was a generation being inspired in real time in 2012. I've spoken about this already, but I think after post 2012, I was actually really gutted because a lot of my friends went to a holiday, the first girls' holiday, and it was at Mallorca Rocks. And then I went to the Olympics, and I always say that I was really gutted at the time to not go. But when I look back on my life now, I've had so many different opportunities to go on girls' holidays, but I'd never get another chance to do a home Olympics. So that for me just made it worth it. You know, you have time to do everything. Just what is your priority, what you want out of life, and act accordingly after that, after you've asked yourself those two questions.
While her peers were doodling on school books, the young KJT was meticulously mapping out her career, setting targets and chasing dreams that would lead her to a home Olympics, and onward to the journey that brings her here on the eve of Rome 2024.
Yeah, I had with heptathlon, it's quite easy to plan or to see ways of how to do it. So you have 7 events, you have 7 different score tallies, and I remember I just used to sit and write all these different ways that I can get the qualifier. If I get a good hurdles, and then if I get a really bad high jump, then I'm going to have to, and I'd write all the different scores and see what amount of points it would add up to. So I'd be constantly thinking about it, I'd be constantly imagining myself there, I'd be constantly manifesting myself in the stadium. I remember being on a youth funded, it might have been with, it wasn't Futures at the time, but it might have been with something like that, where they allowed a lot of the young athletes to go to the stadium when it was getting constructed or built, and it was just like a building site. I remember asking where the start line would be, and then just standing on it and trying to imagine myself there. So I'd really try and see it in my own head first, and then really imagine myself there. But it doesn't work all the time. You have to really believe it as well.
Soon after, it will be Paris, the Olympic Games. Now, aged 31, history suggests this will be her final appearance, the last frontier in a storied career, poised to write a concluding chapter gilded in gold. But don't tell KJT that.
Again, it's a similar answer to the Europeans question. I would love to give you an answer where it's yes, and a lot of journalists were saying unfinished business. What you? And I just hate that narrative. What I've been through as an athlete, especially in the last Olympics, and then the years following, I just want to have a chance. So my main focus is getting to the start line of each heptathlon I do completely healthy and being in the shape of my life. And that's all I want. That's really, truly all I want this year, this summer, is to have a chance at getting it, to have a chance at medaling. I just want to be there, fit, fighting fit, in the shape of my life. And that's ultimately the only thing any athlete can ask for.
But what better than an Olympics on European soil to bookend her personal story with the Games, which began at London 2012.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Really happy about that. I think it's going to be similar to 2012 vibes, I believe. And that's really exciting.
This has been a Highway 61 production for European Athletics. Full details for this series can be found in our show notes, but also visit european-athletics.com for all the latest news and ticket information ahead of Rome 2024.